Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us for another installment of Berklee Music's Open House series. My name is Doug, and I'm an advisor here at Berklee Music, and I have the privilege today of being joined by Mr. Pat Pattison. We're going to start off by having a little discussion for about 20 minutes, and then we'll open it up to some questions. So be sure to send your questions in the chat area, and I'll get them, and we'll be able to get them over here to Pat.
Cool.
So first, let me introduce our guest. Pat Pattison is an author, clinician, and Berklee professor of lyric writing and poetry, whose students have composed for major artists and have also written #1 songs. At Berklee, he developed the curriculum for the only songwriting major in the country. His books, including Writing Better Lyrics, Songwriting Without Boundaries, Songwriting Essential Guide to Rhyming, and Songwriting Essential Guide to Lyric Form and Structure, are recognized as definitive in their genre and have earned many ecstatic reviews. His clinics are attended by songwriters all over the country, and his articles appear regularly in a variety of industry publications. Pat, thanks so much for being here today.
Wow, I did all that? Wow, that's great.
Quite the track record.
Ah. I don't remember any of it.
So I know today we want to discuss a bit about how you can support your idea with technique. And why don't we kick things off by touching a bit on prosody?
Prosody, that's the whole gig. Not only for songwriters, but I think basically for art in general. And it's just a common sense thing. It's just everything should work together. When you create a piece of work, a song, a poem, a painting, a piece of choreography, a film, all of the elements should work together to support that message that you're trying to convey. So it's common sense, but what isn't common sense, or at least what takes a little bit of analysis or digging in, is everything, what are those things that make up the everything? And those turn out to be the tools that you use. Things like line length, rhyme scheme, obviously chords, harmonic rhythm, melody, all of that sort of stuff. They all work together to create an atmosphere that supports your idea, in the same way that a film score comments on and supports the images that you see on the screen. And so that whole concept of letting things like your structure, the way you put things together, influence and support how you work is key in supporting. And it's called prosody, but it's been called other thing. Aristotle called it unity. He said that every great work of art, displays this characteristic of unity, that everything fits together and everything works together. And I found, at least for me, that the most effective way of talking about prosody is to talk about the concepts of, watch this now, of stable versus unstable. Yeah, swivel chair, the whole thing. It's great. Because it covers everything. So, for example, what's your idea that you're dealing with in your song? Maybe it's something like, gosh, it's great to spend time at home with you. Just a concept like that. And so the question now is, how am I feeling about being home with you? It's great to spend time at home with you. I could say it that way. I could say, you know what? It's great to spend time at home with you. I could say, it's great to spend time at home with you. I could say, it's great to spend time at home with you. And the same words have, in that case, three different intents. So that one of the things that you look at is, really, what do you intend to say? how do you feel about staying home? If you feel it's really great to stay at home with you, then you're feeling stable. Let me do this one more time. And because you're feeling stable, you're going to try to support that idea with, say, an even number of lines. You're probably going to use, if it's a 4-line sequence, you're probably going to use a symmetrical rhyme scheme, ABAB or AABB, something like that. Your line lengths are, if not all the same, at least they're going to be sequentially, like 4-stress, 3-stress, 4-stress, so that everything you do, and your rhymes are probably going to be perfect rhymes. You're probably going to end on the tonic chord. All of that stuff that's going to make it feel stable, like the film score. At the same time, I'm saying to you, it's really nice to spend time at home with you. But if on the other hand, I'm saying, it's really nice to spend time at home with you, with the sort of underbelly of that being, but I'm out of here. Then you're feeling kind of unstable, and now you're going to use those same tools to try to create and support that feeling. So you might use, say, an odd number of lines. You might use imperfect rhymes. You might use unequal line lengths. Shorten your last line or something like that and make it feel a little bit queasy. You might use asymmetrical rhyme scheme like ABBA, something like that, so that all of these technical tools that you have are going to come in and support what you're saying. And so that stability and instability, that whole concept, really feels to me like it underlies and expresses the whole concept of prosody. Did I take too long to answer that?
No, that's great. No, that's it's definitely a great way to kind of kick this thing off. How can you take sort of those tools and that idea of stability and instability and kind of relate it back to tone?
Oh yeah, well that whole thing. Because I said that's what I was going to talk about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So here I am. 7% of our communication is the actual words that I say. 35% is my tone of voice. And the rest of it is body language. So, Doug, it's great to see you. Okay. Doug, it's great to see you. Doug, it's great to see you. And so note that that my tone of voice, not the timbre, not the texture, so much as the pitch, has gone someplace with Doug, glad to see you. Now, whether or not you believe that I'm glad, of course you will believe that I'm glad to see you if I say it that way, because you hear me talking on my tonic. You hear me. Well, let me back up. I saw Leonard Bernstein, his second lecture on musical phonology, in his 1973 6-lecture series at Harvard called The Unanswered Question. That is a gift. Get that. It'll be the best however much, $50 or $60 you'll spend, and watch it every 10 years. The Unanswered Question, Leonard Bernstein. In his lecture on musical phonology, he said that in every culture, people whine and tease in minor thirds. And so that set me off thinking. I said, I wonder, and every time I say that, of course, I lose 6 months of my life. In this case, 2 years. I said, I wonder if, because it has to be a minor third from something, in order to be a minor third, from some kind of established tone, I wonder if when we talk, we establish a tonic. In the same way that You're dealing with keys. I wonder when I talk if I establish a tonic. I think I do. I think I do. I do. I do. I do. I do. Do. There's my tonic, and my tonic is established by my grammatical functions. That is to say, by my personal pronouns, by my articles like the, and, my prepositions at, on, in, to, for, and by my conjunctions, my grammatical functions. They set the tonality, and then as I create stressed syllables, every time we stress a syllable in language, we raise the pitch of our voice. Even in multisyllable words like understand, 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 or when we say, it's really great to see you. It's really great. That's basically a leap of a third. If I want to emphasize, I'll probably leap a fifth. It's really, and so that we have the grammatical function, and then we move third and fifth. So actually, whenever I'm speaking to you, I'm singing to you. I'm arpeggiating my tonic with my stressed syllables and my emphasized syllables. And so consequently, we are not talking about melody here, we're talking about harmonic function. So I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. So I started listening. And yeah, there's the which, by the way, is not only minor third, but it's minor third and tritone. So that the minor third is 3/2 steps from the tonic, and then the tritone is 3/2 steps from the minor third. So is the kind of whiny thing. So we do that. We're happy in major thirds, aren't we? Yes, we are. And we ask questions in fifths, don't we? Yes. We threaten on the dominant function below the tonic. Don't you talk to me. And so we're always moving. So that we have our tonic that we set. But then when I say to you, it's really great to see you, I'm not talking on my tonic. You know that there's some other something coming there. So that when I'm on my tonic, it's do, re, mi, fa, fourth degree of my scale. If we're talking harmony, which we are, that's my subdominant function. That is its motion away from tonic and is therefore unstable. So preachers, brethren and sister, and I want to, and auctioneers, and when I'm talking in my subdominant, it really feels like I'm going somewhere, just like it does when you're harmonically in your subdominant, and you shouldn't interrupt me because there I go, I'm off doing something. And so when I'm speaking in my subdominant, when I say, it's really great to see you, then you feel like, well, there's something else coming, and that creates instability. As opposed to my dominant, let's get back to my tonic. It's do, re, mi, fa, so. When I get to this, now it feels like, I'm being fairly aggressive. It's called the dominant for a reason, and so I'm angry in my dominant. I ask questions and so on in my dominant, and as I said, in the dominant function, I threaten below the tonic. But note when I'm on my fourth degree of my scale, I'm on my subdominant, I'm still setting the tonality with my with my grammatical functions, and then I'm arpeggiating with my stressed syllables, and the same for the dominant. I'm doing that sort of thing. And one of the interesting things is that when you go to the seventh degree of your scale, that's the least stable. That's the sort of watch out, I don't want to die kind of place to go. And so there's all of that stuff that I've been just fascinated with for the last couple of years about the harmonic functions of language. And many people have said, do you realize the implications of this? And it always sounded like I had to do research. And of course, research. Why would I want to do research? Because it might prove it wrong, and then I couldn't talk about it. So I don't want to do any of that. But one of the things that is really interesting here is that I can actually understand or identify what a line should be and what tools I should use by actually saying the line and hearing where I am, sort of solfeging it. If I do say, I love to spend my time at home with you. I love to spend my time at home with you. As a line of poetry, by the way, I love to spend my time at home with you. That's a perfect line of iambic pentameter, ba-da, 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 and feels like I mean it. And so I could, of course, all of this stuff is treated in my poetry class, in our poetry class. Sorry, we could fracture the rhythm a little bit and say, I love spending time home with you. I love spending time home with you. And now it feels a little less, I love to spend my time at home with you. It feels a little less convincing. Or I could say, home. I love spending it with you. Or I could say, and that, by the way, is called a frontal caesura. Or I could say, I love spending our time. I love spending time at home. Together. It sort of implies together at last, maybe, or we don't get enough time or something. So that how you construct the, poetic line, and also the songwriting lines, but the poetic lines really has to do a lot with using your structure, using your tools, using your legato lines, your staccato lines, your rhythms, and so on, to reinforce that. So if I say to you, I love spending time at home with you, I might consider not putting that in perfect iambic pentameter. I might try rhythmic or some fracturing of the line to do that. And obviously in songwriting, I might do 1, 2 instead of here's the tonic 1, 2, 3, 4. I love to spend my time at home with you. 2, 3. I love to spend my time. And so now I've got love coming right down on the downbeat, and coming right down on the downbeat, it really feels like I mean it, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4. I love to spend my time at home with you. And now, because I'm behind the downbeat and skip that downbeat in the next bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. I love to spend my time at home with you. Now it feels, I guess I do, and it's not really yet saying, yeah, but I'm out of here. But there are techniques that you can now use rhythmically in your song, and in your sequence you can use 3 lines and so on, to create that sort of subdominant or dominant or tonic tone, so that you just check your tone of voice. You have 4 lines of lyric, and you can say that thing exactly like you mean it, and so you feel it. Become an actor for a minute, and check that out and see where it goes. And you might want to say, well, the first line I sort of really mean. I love spending time at home with you. But the day will come when it's no longer possible for us to, etc. And so then I'm feeling unstable there. I really do love it, but there will come a time, and of course all things must pass, and so on. And now we're dealing with an unstable idea, so you go from stable to unstable. And then maybe back to the last line of the sequence, which says something like, but let's spend the time we have together now as profitably as possible. That's a great lyric line, isn't it? Profitably as possible.
All right. Well, I think we got some questions coming in. If you're ready.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So here's a fairly pretty interesting one. What is your view on deliberate use of a happy melody to convey dark lyrical content?
Well, my don't ask me, ask Randy Newman. I mean, Randy Newman has made an entire career out of creating that kind of ironic distance. Downtown, short people got no reason to, and people went nuts. Because he's, the surface of it says this is a great idea, and probably one of the great examples of that is Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, where they're doing these horrible things to people, and Beethoven's Ninth Symphony is playing. And Beethoven's Ninth Symphony is making the comment, "Isn't this glorious?" which feels like it's coming from the torturer's minds. And it becomes even more chilling because of that mismatch. I suppose you could sing Happy Birthday in a minor key. Congratulations being born, but you're going to die. So that conflict is actually part of the prosody. I mean, it isn't that everything has to be happy, or everything has to be funny, or everything has to be tragic. There's a really nice mix of say, happy music and sad lyric, or happy lyric and sad music, or any combination of stable rhyme scheme but unstable line lengths. All of that sort of thing that will create a comment. I mean, the thing to focus in on is, what's my intent? How do I feel? And when Randy Newman writes, "I love L.A." or "It's time to drop the big one," or something like that, or "Redneck," or whatever it is that he's writing, his intent is not to say L.A. is the greatest place in the world. His intent is to kind of sneer at it, and so that the sneer that you get comes from that collision between one set of comments that is being made by one of the structures, maybe the musical or the lyrical, and the mismatch coming the other way and throwing it off balance. And that's the intent, to make a comment. Because when I'm sarcastic, "Oh, that was great." When I'm sarcastic with you, my words are saying, "Oh, that was great," and "Oh, that was great." Now listen to my tone of voice, and my tone of voice is in conflict with my words, and that's the game. And so that really the words, the 7% of it, and the idea can be completely a mismatch, and that itself is part of the prosody. It's not that prosody breaks down there; it's that prosody supports the intent, and so that you can really collide things in order to create that intent. Great question.
So do you think that walks the line of it could go either way as far as stable and unstable, like? Reinforcing that idea?
It feels like, I mean, if you're going to do that sort of thing, I mean, you just check your tone of voice. "Oh, it's really great to see you. Yeah, I wish we could see each other like this all the time." Yeah. And here both the pitch that I'm using is really sort of minor third tritone-ish, and yet the words I'm saying are gracious words, and so that mismatch there is really going to be expressive.
So we have another one here that has to, kind of tie in. One of my favorite techniques is the use of alliteration. How can you?
Oh, don't get me started. Oh, okay, I should get started.
Well,
that's what we're here for, right?
That's what we're here for.
Okay, well, that's another thing. Another time where I said, I wonder, and now I'm about a year and a half into this. I'm starting to work on a piece on alliteration, where it's not only Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, but I did all of that work years ago, decades ago, on family rhyme. I'm amused to find that you can go online and look at family rhyme, and it's sort of like it's been in the literature for since Thomas Aquinas or something like that. And really, the family rhyme thing is a little invention that I came up with about 30 years ago or so. But that was based on families that are created out of what you do with your air column. So that, for example, you get the plosives, or bidig, you get the fricatives, you get the nasals, and you form rhyme families out of that. But I did a master's degree in literary criticism, and one of the things that I looked at that point was Kenneth Burke's 1947 piece called "Musicality in Verse," and he started talking about families that, instead of going horizontally like I did for family rhyme, he started talking about vertical families, which I found was really intriguing. So, for example, the N group, it has to do with what you do with your tongue. So, the tip of your tongue is on your hard palate. So N and D, your tongue is always in the same position, and he calls that concealed alliteration. So that you could do something like one lad. So you get one la 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 da da da. So one lad sings really easily and feels like it flows really well, but it's really alliterative. The L is alliterated by N, and the D is alliterated by N, and so instead of saying nobody knows, and doing just the typical sort of frontal alliteration, you can now create, and let's just call it sonic bonding or consonantal voice leading or something, but concealed alliteration. And I'm in the throes right now. I've just actually last week done an entire description of all of this, and now I'm coming up with interesting ways to instead of just noticing it, of actually creating it. So yeah, I'm a real fan of alliteration, but so the initial alliteration becomes pretty heavy-handed, and so to soften it and still keep that voice leading. I'm also going to do the same thing with vowels, because using the vowel triangle. Well, anyway, that's a whole other thing. That's called assonance, and we don't care. We're not a question about alliteration. Go ahead.
We got a question here from Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Says you cite some great lyricists from the past in your books. Who's currently impressing you?
Have you heard John Mayer's new album, Born and Raised? Oh my God. Gillian Welch's album, Harrow and the Harvest. They are impressing the hell out of me. Take a listen to John's Walt Grace 1967 Submarine something. Brilliant piece of work. I mean, structurally and all of that stuff. Amazing. I think John is actually still setting the bar for pop writers, and certainly Gillian has been setting the bar for sort of the Americana, sort of bluegrass thing for at least a decade or so, maybe more, 2 decades. Really proud of both of them.
Awesome. I think we got time for like one more question, and I think this is a pretty interesting one. It's from Adrian. Pat, would you say that writing a song based on a conversation would be a good way to actually write? And would it make sense to start, kind of pretending to have that conversation with someone and go from there?
Well, yeah, that's really cool. And the answer is yes. Songs. This is kind of an interesting way of looking at it. Songs should feel conversational, but on the other hand, songs are not conversations. It's not conversation put to music. It you should really have to work. Well, I don't know, but I mean, to make it like I mean, you're a good guitarist, and your goal is to do something that's really incredibly hard and just flow and just make it look effortless. And of course, that's any writer's goal. My wife and I are now at night reading Faulkner short stories, and it's just amazing, you know. I mean, you know, I see Faulkner just sort of going, you know, it just feels so effortless. And of course, you know how Faulkner wrote. I mean, he went nuts writing because it was so hard. And the goal is to make it seem really effortless. What was our question?
Yeah, I mean, having things be conversational.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you know, my advice is, you know, whatever the case is. I mean, maybe you're actually writing about your heartbreak with Vivian, and so, you know, my advice is to put Vivian's face kind of in front of you, and say what you're going to say, and then after you finish saying that, then you should ask the question, then what would I say? Then what, you know, and so just keep in that context. It's an amazing way of unifying it. Even if you're not writing in direct address, but when you are, you know, put that person's face right in front of you. And if you're writing in first-person narrative, second-person narrative, or in third-person narrative, you still, I mean, at that point, it's not going to feel like a conversation with another person, but it's going to feel in, well, second-person narrative kind of will, but in first-person and third-person narrative, it's still going to feel like Walt Grace. You know, it's going to feel like you're telling this story to a room full of people. And then what would you say? And then what would you say? And that really keeps a spine in the song. It really keeps it focused. I mean, that's a great question. Yeah, you know, you need to write your songs through and your poems through you. It's not a piece of assembly of, you know, taking this phrase and kind of lining them up. It's not an assembly operation. It's an operation where you bring it up through the experiences that you've had, so that it will remain something that's yours. And that takes a lot of work in knowing what you've got. Object writing, that's a great tool for unveiling that sort of thing, and certainly metaphor. The word, all this stuff that I deal with in the creative writing course and in the poetry course. All of that stuff, just making it real, making it come through you. Because if you don't believe what you're saying, why do you expect anybody else to believe what you're saying? Because you put music to it? I mean, there's nothing worse than an unbelievable song put to music, and now it's even more contrived. So, yeah, keep it real, and keep it coming through you.
Excellent. Well, Pat, I think that's all the time we have for today.
But I want to talk more.
I'm sure we could talk a little bit more.
I said that in my minor third, right?
You did.
I want to talk more. Come on, can I please talk? Can we talk more? I want to talk more. Okay. I want to talk more. Okay, so there's my dominant, all right? I want to talk more. My subdominant. And they all mean different things. It's very cool.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right.
This has been a blast. Thank you so much for
My
being
pleasure.
here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And, yeah, come around the block and see me appearing near you in the near future.